The IDATA Project presents CCD Arrays with Harper. Al is standing in front of a 4x4 grid on the wall. Each cell has a number written in it in black marker. He is wearing a yellow-colored shirt underneath a blue fleece jacket.
In the preceding video, I described how astronomers gather information about the universe by using telescopes to image light from the sky onto sensitive detectors like CCDs. An electron in a star changes from a high-energy state to a lower state and emits a photon that's absorbed in a detector pixel and raises an electron into a higher energy state where it can be measured with a sensitive electronic circuit. I simulated that with a two-dimensional array of cups to represent the detector pixels, pennies to represent the electrons, and a kitchen scale that can count the pennies by measuring their weight. After an exposure time of anywhere from seconds to hours, the information from the sky is encoded into a two-dimensional array of electrons in the silicon CCD chip. Ultimately, however, we want to put that into a form that a human brain can comprehend. This often takes the form of a visual image on paper or a TV screen, but it could also be encoded in a tactile or sonic image. In this video, I'm going to describe how the electron image can be transcribed into a two-dimensional grid of numbers on a page. I've already done that for one image, and the result is taped to the wall behind me.
The camera is now zoomed in onto the 4x4 grid on the wall.
I'm going to read the numbers out to you, and I'm going to start with the lowest row here. And the first row, the numbers are 49, 10, 3, and 0. And the next row up, the numbers are 9, 3, 1, and 30. And then the next row above that is 4, 11, 101, and 2. And finally, the top row is 0, 2, 8, and 4. So it's easy to see where the bright stars are. That's 49 down here in the lower left-hand corner, 101 up here, and a fainter star here at 30. You'll also see that there's some lower numbers. Almost every one of the squares has at least a small positive number, and they vary from square to square. The night sky isn't completely dark, and emission of photons and absorption of photons are random processes, so you expect to get a variable number of these background photons from the night sky spread across the CCD array. That appears as noise to the image, and the more photons you collect, the bigger the ratio of the signals from the stars to the variation in the background noise.
The focus of the camera is now on a table that has a 4x4 array of egg cartons, with 2 cups inside each cell, a white plastic cup inside a red solo cup. Behind this array is an adding machine tape with numbers written on it going down the tape, to stand in for the data of numbers sent to the computer from the CCD's measurement of how many electrons get knocked off. To the right of the array, and in front of the tape, is a talking scale. Al is going to simulate the process of a CCD using these tools. He will start by moving the rightmost column of the 4x4 grid of cups to the right, out of the array, to what is called the readout device. Then, he'll switch the next rightmost column to the right, so it is now in the place of the column we just moved to the readout device. He will keep going in this fashion, moving each column to the right until the leftmost column is the only empty one. Then, he will take each cup in the readout device column, starting from the cup closest to him, and weigh it on a scale and write down the weights sequentially on the paper tape, one weight below the other. After this is done, the columns are all again shifted to the right, and the process repeats until all the cups have been weighed and recorded.
So here we have an array of 16 cups. It's arranged in 4 rows and 4 columns. And in order to read this out, I'm going to shift each of the columns to the left. So I'm going to shift the first column out to a readout register. And I'm going to shift the second column to where the first column was. Then the third column to where the second column was. And the fourth column to where the third column was. Now I'm going to turn on my scale. And I'm going to first do a tare weight measurement to zinc. And I'm going to sequentially measure and record the number of electrons in each of these cups in the readout column. So I'll start with the first one here. And I'm going to write 39 grams on the tape. Then I'll go to the second one.
42 grams. 13 grams.
That's 13 grams. That's 2 grams. And 1 gram. Okay, then I would shift the next column to the left by 1. And follow the same procedure with the others. I'm shifting the third column to the second, and then I'll read each one of these out. I'm not going to go through the whole process. You can do that yourself in your own classroom. Now I am going to start to transcribe these numbers up onto the graph and show you how that's done.
We are zoomed in onto the 4x4 grid with numbers on the wall again. Al is holding the adding machine tape in his hands.
Okay, now we have a sequence of numbers that represents the data that was sent to the computer and also the way the data is arranged in the memory of the computer. So from start to end here, I've got the first image that I had up on the paper at the beginning of the video. And now I've got the string of numbers that we've generated by measuring the cups in the array right here. And what I'll do then is to write the numbers into the cells in the same grid. And I'm going to start at the lower left-hand corner again. And the new number is 39. Okay. The next number above it in the second row, first column, is a 13. And the next number above that in the first column, in the next row up, is 2. And finally, the top row, first column, the number is 1. You can see that these numbers are slightly different from the first image. As I said before, photon emission and absorption is a random process, so you don't expect exactly the same numbers each time. But by continuing to add images and take the averages of the data, then you can gradually improve the signal-to-noise ratio until you have a really good, clear, accurate image.
The IDATA Project is funded by the National Science Foundation and is a collaboration between the following sponsors: Logos Consulting Group, Turk, Associated Universities Incorporated, the University of Chicago Yerkes Observatory, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and the University of Nevada at Las Vegas. People involved in making this video. Narration and script, L. Harper. Video editor and audio description, Katja Gosman.